will ask, will you say and spell your full name and full official title, if you don't mind?
That is tough. Okay, so
I knew it would be.
Robert N. Golden, MD, Golden, and I am the Dean of the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health.
And how long have you been in this role now?
I've been in this role 14 years.
14 years. And this has to have been one of the most interesting graduation ceremonies that you've ever performed, I would imagine.
Well, interesting is the way I would describe my first root canal. I would describe this as being the most inspirational one. And what made it so special was the amazing resilience of our graduating students. They could have become discouraged or depressed that this important day had to be reconsidered, but instead the students came together and on their own came up with the idea of creating the first ever yearbook to share, and together with our amazing staff and our leaders among the faculty, put together this virtual experience that really was inspirational because it shows how we need to come together and move forward with this COVID challenge, and that's what our students did.
They really did come out. I mean, you mentioned there were thousands of people. Were you anticipating quite a response?
Oh, I thought that maybe we would have 400 or 500 people watching, but instead, apparently there were 4,800 people that were watching. So it did expand access. Some of our students have family around the country, around the globe, that ordinarily wouldn't be able to make the trip here, but this enabled an even broader group of the extended families to enjoy the day and to celebrate.
You know, you mentioned that this was inspirational. Talk to me a little bit about why you found this to be inspirational. You know, words that come to mind. I just find it remarkable that, you know, you guys got creative enough to come up with this solution. Just kind of like how Match Day came up with that creative solution.
Yeah, exactly. Our students are inspiring because of their innovative can-do attitude. You know, let's take this lemon and make lemonade out of it. It's also inspirational because this is a cohort of new physicians, the first graduating from this revolutionary new curriculum that they've had throughout their time here that really accelerates clinical training, integrates the preclinical with the clinical, really takes it to another level of integrating medicine and public health. And all of that coming to fruition just as they were walking out to be on the front lines of the COVID battle. So the usual joy, the usual celebration is also clearly accompanied by an unusual degree of bravery, knowing what they are going out to face. And I feel reassured that with this generation, with this cohort of new physicians and new physician leaders, we're going to do just fine.
That is so wonderful to hear. I mean, you've seen them grow, you've seen them excel, and you know that they're getting, bar none, the best, you know, education possible to prepare them. You feel like they are prepared to go out in the front line come July 1st. They're ready to rock and roll, if you were.
Absolutely. And you know, the other interesting thing is that you know, about 15 years ago, we launched this revolutionary experiment to define for the nation what it means to be a school of medicine and public health. We really felt that this was the best model for the future. We had no idea that for this class, with their graduation, there would be such a powerful and horrible demonstration via COVID-19 of the real essential importance of bringing together medicine and public health, bringing together not only the ways in which we can diagnose and treat our patients, but the way we can use public health measures like social distancing to prevent illness and to attack this pandemic.
Wonderful answers. I'm curious too if you would talk to me a little bit about what it was like this morning coming in. You know, we're used to the pomp and circumstance of a true graduation. This probably felt a little odd. I mean, this is a wonderful room, don't get me wrong. I'm sure you do spend all your time here when you're not at home with your family. But this is probably, probably a unique situation to walk into the room this morning. Tell me a little bit about what you ended up doing here.
This experience was a little strange, and to be more candid than perhaps I should, I was a little nervous because when it comes to technology, doing this virtually, you're talking to somebody who still can't figure out how to use a remote control on this television set. So I was afraid, would this be pulled off? And because of the incredibly dedicated staff that we have, and because of the input from our students, even a dinosaur like me was able to get through it without any obvious technical snafus.
I don't believe dinosaur at all. What was it like to put on the cap and gown this morning? You know, you expect to be seen by, I'm sure, more than 1,000 in that theater on this day, but you knew it was equally as important to don the attire for something this special.
Putting on the attire was especially poignant because ordinarily it's a routine that is shared with all the students and shared with a large number of faculty who collectively share the stage and the podium for the ceremony. So doing it individually in my own office was in a way a kind of letdown, missing something that is part of the routine of joy. But then once we got going, it was the best part of my month, I think, because even from a distance, you could feel the excitement. And when our amazing student speaker gave his inspirational address, when our amazing faculty speaker, chosen by our students, gave his address, it didn't matter. Instead of being in my office, I was in the moment because I felt that all the students and the faculty and the families were in the moment as well.
It sounds like it just gave you goosebumps and took your breath away, most likely.
It really did. It really did. And I sincerely hope that next year we're back to our usual operation, and our usual operation will be better because of the experiences we had with this innovative one. So I hope the world has gotten back towards normal, and it will. And this will always be a memory of the way in which our school as a community came together and really made the best out of a unique situation.
I probably have plenty with that. Anything that you guys can think that I forgot to ask before we grab glamour shots? Andrew, anything that you think I should be bothered? Golden about. Were you surprised by the turnout? I'll just, the close to 5,000 people.
I was really delighted. I didn't know at the time, but to learn afterwards that so many families and friends and supporters of our students, it's something that we really appreciate, that for every student that completes the rigors of this program and all of our other wonderful health profession programs, there's a family and really a village behind them that have given them support to complete the journey. So to find out afterwards that these villages all were participating in this joyful day was just icing on the cake.
Love your answers.
How do you feel about the preparedness and what they're walking into? Like, explain that.
Yeah, this group of graduates are entering a brave new world of medicine and public health with this once-in-a-century horrendous epidemic. And I feel so reassured that they are so well trained. Over the course of the years with us, they've had some other curveballs, not nearly as dangerous and life-threatening, but they just hit them in stride with this amazing mature professional attitude, always focused on the patient, always focused on the populations that they are dedicated to. At today's graduation, we did something that we don't ordinarily have the opportunity to do, and that was to briefly summarize where each of our graduates is going to do their residency training, at what location and in what field. And was also inspirational. It covers the entire country, including many of them staying right here in Wisconsin. Many of them are going to some of the current COVID hotspots to be in the heat of battle. Others are going to remote rural areas where there is such a pressing need to have a strong, well-trained clinical workforce. And so hearing in rapid succession, again, after match day, hearing in rapid succession that they're marching out there, all of them to do important work, all of them well-trained across a variety of areas of concentration. To me, it was just inspirational and also reassuring. I guess all of us in the field of medicine from time to time are patients as well as doctors. And I just feel reassured that there's a new cohort, a new generation of doctors, all of whom I would be delighted to have provide care for me or for my family. 3 pillars: clinical care, research, and education. In fact, these are the very same pillars of support for any physician, regardless of whether they are in academics or in community-based practice or in the public sector, and regardless of whether they are a primary care physician in rural Wisconsin or a subspecialist in an urban setting. The primary pillar is patient.
Trying to get the wide, medium, and tight shots as you're doing it.
Sure. Just tell me when.
And action, go for it whenever you'd like.
To our graduates, on this very special day, we are celebrating your liftoff as you blast off from the launching pad of your completed MD program up into the next stage, the booster rocket of residency training, en route to the galaxy of medical service. I'd like to share a perspective on the final components of the countdown. 3, 2, 1, 3. The foundation of academic medicine rests on 3 pillars: clinical care, research, and education. In fact, these are the very pillars of support for any physician, regardless of whether they are in academics or in community-based practice or in the public sector, and regardless of whether they are a primary care physician in rural Wisconsin or a subspecialist working in an urban setting. The primary pillar is patient care and the advancement of the health of communities and populations. A second pillar, research, provides renewable strength and effectiveness to your clinical efforts. This horrible COVID plague drives home how important it is for every physician, regardless of whether they are a pediatrician, a psychiatrist, or a pathologist, to keep up with the recent advances in the research of medicine and public health in general, as well as in their particular area of focus. The third pillar, education, is of paramount importance. We must all pursue lifelong learning so that we can, in turn, educate our patients and our policymakers, our professional team members, and our neighbors. Concepts such as diagnostic test sensitivity and specificity, antibodies and cytokines, herd immunity, and social distancing must be taught by us to all who are prepared to listen and learn. A well-informed public is one of the most important cornerstones in achieving control over an epidemic, whether it is the epidemic of COVID-19 or of opioid addiction or of childhood obesity. So our countdown begins with the number 3, the triad of clinical care, research, and education. 2, there are 2 sides of the essential coin for any complete physician: medicine and public health. During your residencies, you will learn so much about the diagnosis and treatment of illness. Please also maintain the focus on disease prevention and health promotion that we emphasize as the nation's first School of Medicine and Public Health.
Exercise, what can I say?
Go ahead and start it one more time. I'm just going to
Okay.
Do some pretty glamorous shots.
You know, pretty
I
soon
like this
you'll be
expert
able to
opinion
give this
piece.
talk, I think.
Well, you know, what did it feel? I guess I should ask you this while you're up here. You know, how did it feel talking from this podium here?
It was not as much fun as being in the live audience, okay? But it was countered by an adrenaline rush because at any moment I could screw up technologically and hit the wrong button on the keyboard. And the next thing you know, they're maybe looking at my family photos or something like that, because I really, don't have a lot of skill with these computer things.
By the way, your family photos are quite adorable. So I think some of them got in some of my shots, so that was perfect.
Oh, good,
so,
good.
so they're going to make a little cameo in all of this. This is perfect. I'll just have you read off that first few lines one more time, and I'm just going to get a few more crafty,
Sure.
creative,
Okay, here we
fun
go.
shots here.
To our graduates, on this very special day, we are celebrating your liftoff as you blast off from the launching pad of your completed MD program up into the next stage, the booster rocket of residency training, en route to the galaxy of medical service. I'd like to share a perspective on the final components of the countdown. 3, 2, 1. 3. The foundation of academic medicine rests on 3 pillars: clinical care, research, and education. In fact, these are the very pillars of support for any physician, regardless of whether they are in academics or in community-based practice or in the public sector, and regardless of whether they are a primary care physician in rural Wisconsin or a subspecialist in an urban setting. The primary pillar is patient care and the advancement of the health of communities and populations. The second pillar, research, provides renewable strength and effectiveness to your clinical efforts. This horrible COVID plague drives home how important it is for every physician, regardless of whether they are a pediatrician, a psychiatrist, or a pathologist, to keep up with the research advances in the fields of medicine and public health in general, as well as in their particular area of focus. The third pillar, education, is of paramount importance. We must all pursue lifelong learning so that we can, in turn, educate our patients and our policymakers, our professional